what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Any piece of blessing, what the Lord has done. Are you ever body with the Lord out here? Don't you trust in any you are all to bear? Count your many blessings every day we find, and you will be singing as the day goes by. Count your blessings and then one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, then one by one. Hey, I need to surprise you what the Lord has done. Hallelujah.
Thank you so much.
What are you doing? What are you doing? That the Christ has promised you is well controlled. That your many blessings money cannot buy. Everybody heaven and your home on high. Count your blessings, then them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, then them one by one. Any piece of rescue, what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, then them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, sister, then them one by one. Any piece of rescue, what the Lord has done. I said, count your blessings, then them one by one. Any piece of rescue, what the Lord. I said, count your blessings, brother, then them one by one. Any piece of rescue, what the Lord has done. Hey, I do this.
Thank you so much. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Good afternoon. If you can hear me, can you please signify if you can hear me? Hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, thank you so much. Hello.
Because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. How we try as a temptation, get trouble anywhere. We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. How we find the friends so faithful, who will on the sorrow behind. Jesus knows that every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. How we find the friends so faithful, who will on the sorrow behind. Jesus knows that trouble. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Jesus, I said, Jesus, over every weakness. Into the Lord, whatever the situation, Jesus, over the weakness. Into the Lord, prayer. And finally, we come and give all the praise and all the glory.
Thank you.
Oh my God, when I'm in awesome wonder, consider all the most thy hands has made. I see the star, I I hear the rolling thunder that far throughout the universe display. That's in my soul, that's in my soul, my Savior got to be. Hey, how great thou art, how great thou art, oh, that's in my soul, Savior got to be.
Hello, thank you.
My soul, that's in my soul. My Savior got to be. How great thou art, how great thou art. This in my soul, my Savior got to be. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Thank you.
And we worship you when we say thank you. Receive
Thank
our
you. God bless you, man. God bless you. 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 Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are so blessed for that beautiful, awesome ministration from Fumi Babaji all the way from Chicago. Yes, and it is time for us to go to the business of today. Oh no, you are coming back. You are coming back. It is, you are not now. No, you just hold on. It is time for us to go to the business of today. Tomi Vincent for the session. We are by inviting Barrister Tomi Vincent. Oh, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, Brother Musi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me here. I am grateful. I am honored. I am so humbled. Thank you very much. May God increase you and enlarge you too.
Amen. Thank you so much. Before you start, we need to let you know that Fumi Babajide, she's ministering from Easton, Texas. And so she's so fired to really join this session. I guess they are 8 o'clock in their time, and some of them are just waking up, and they'll be joining us now. So I need to let you know we are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube also. So, and I understand some people are sending me an email, which I'm seeing now, which I believe they should be joining us now. They'll be joining us very soon. So over to you, sir, without wasting too much time. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Father, we thank you for this time out with you. Thank you for being our teacher in perpetuity. Thank you for giving us your word and your insights. Thank you because in you we live, in you we move, and in you we have our being. Thank you because you're going to take absolute control of today's meeting, and you're going to make it your own issue, your own teaching, your own grace, your own mercy, your own glory. Thank you for everything. We give you thanks because we know you have answered us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I want to say a big thank you to you, brother. I would say from the bottom of my heart, I thank you very much for giving me this privilege. You are somebody that I respect so much, and ever since I met you at Daystar Leadership Academy, and I took your number consistently, I've seen your posting on status, WhatsApp status, and on Facebook, and you make. I love what I see of you. I love the good work that you put up. I love the passion to destroy the box, if at all there's any box, to make sure that there is nothing of a box that is there. And the way your creativity is something that is my heart, and that's why I did not hesitate to accept this your invitation to be here. And for all others that are joining me, please let me celebrate our brother very well. Please let us celebrate the host of this conference, who has done so much in terms of education, in terms of helping people to realize who they are and what they could be. And I just want to say big thank you to you. Please join me in celebrating Brother Asebushi. Thank you very much. God bless you. We celebrate you. We celebrate you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, today my assignment is somewhat not easy, at the same time not difficult, because basically I've always had the passion to make people understand the essence of legal rascality, how it hurts them, legal ignorance, legal carelessness. It's something that so many till tomorrow hurts people a lot. Whether in America, whether in Chicago, whether in Maryland, whether in Nigeria, whether in Osun, whether in Lagos State, wherever you are, ignorance of the law or sometimes carelessness with the law can hurt you, can hurt you. And that's why it's foolish to think that the law is just existing in vacuum. It's just there. Every society has their law. And the basic thing that you can do, in fact, the Bible says in Romans chapter 13, verses 1 to 6, talks about obedience to law, talk about the need to comply with the law wherever you are. And I can usually give people an example of that even Jesus, the author and the finisher of our own faith, was crucified in accordance to the law. Trumped up charges though, yes. False witnesses there were, yes. But the law was the basis of all those. That's why I tell any pastor, any Christian who tells me that you can fit it out, and I tell you that whether you like it or not, even our brother Paul was by law martyred. He had to die because of what was considered disobedience to the law. And that's what led to his death. Most of the martyrs we read, they were arrested because they defied the law, albeit for purpose that they considered very noble, purpose of spreading the gospel of God. So yes, we agree that the work brought us where we are. But what I want to say is that objectively, the law is always there. So it's not a matter whether you are, special or you're not special. Now, so your own place in the scheme of things is always to give adequate regard, whichever place you find yourself. Now, let me start quickly, because of time, to address some salient parts of law, what you should know about law. Basically, it's a law. If I want to say I want to describe law in a very concise way, I might have a difficulty there, because as many people that there are who understand the working of law, they can give different definitions of law. But no matter what definition you give, however, what remains constant is that law consists of about 6 unique principles or dimensions or features. Let's call it features of law. Number one is that law will always consist rules. It's a body of rules. But don't make a mistake. Rules by themselves, they are not the law. For it to become law, the second thing is that those rules must be designed to regulate conduct. Must be designed to regulate conduct. Don't drive on a speed lane in a slow manner. So particularly when you're in US, where you're supposed to be on a speed lane, you are there and you are crawling. Of course, the policeman pulls you over because the law has said that there's a lane for speed, there's a lane for movement at a normal speed. So the law is a body of rules meant to regulate conduct, which must be obeyed. Obedience is the third thing. Laws are meant to be obeyed. Many people who are in Nigeria, they have seen crass disobedience of laws. And so we have taken it that laws are just there. And that's why it's so easy to fall into the trap of what they call ignorance of the law or carelessness of the law. Law, I've been to somewhere where they put no parking, no hawking, nothing, no parking, no hawking, no loitering, no whatever. And that same sign was actually where those who are hawking, who are loitering, even hung their wares, hung it to show that there was a rule, no parking, which was meant to regulate their conduct, was not done, which was meant to be obeyed, but was not obeyed. The fourth element or feature of law is that there are sanctions attached to disobedience. There are sanctions attached to disobedience, meaning that for every law to be effective is different from persuasion, is very different from suasions. For every law to be effective, there must be rules, the rules must be there to regulate conduct, it must be obeyed, and when there is disobedience, there must be sanction. Lately, I saw a law in Lagos State, Nigeria, where it is said that to reverse on the highway is a crime. Of course, it is, because say in UK or say in America, you don't even reverse, no matter what happens. You must go and do the next turn to go back to where you are. Let's assume you missed your turn and you have only gone about 10 or 20 meters away from your turn. Then, if you are reversing and you are caught, it is a fine. It might earn you some point deduction on your license. So there are, but in Lagos, for instance, people basically use reverse to even drive. You can use reverse to do almost a kilometer on an express road, because to you, you are not facing one traffic. You are not going against the traffic. You are only reversing. And so now there's a law that says no. But that law has always been there, but nobody obeyed it. But now it's there. In Lagos, look, if you are caught, you're going to pay probably 50 or 100,000 or $1,000 to the government. So there is law, rule of law, or body of rules. There's which is meant to regulate conduct. Number 3 is meant to be obeyed. And number 4 is meant to have sanction if there's disobedience. Now, the fifth element of it, which you must get very well, is that law is different from morals. And I want every one of us to pay very great critical attention to this. This is where many people have entered the trap of ignorance of law. Law is not the same as moral. Moral can become law. Law can have a tinge of morality, but they are really separate issues. Moral it's immoral to kill. It's also a law to kill. So there's a convergence. But there are instances where you can kill and get away from free when it's about self-defense that was. So in that instance, it's immoral to kill, but it's legal to kill. So you can see that you have to separate it. Now, no matter what you are saying, even as somebody who is running a ministry, or you're running a para-ministry, work, or you're doing your business in a way that looks like a ministry-oriented work, like apostle in the marketplace. You must always remember that the sentiments that you're throwing around because of your emotion, because of your moral, you see, religion is actually in the realm of moral. Nobody forces you to belong to the religion you have. It's something that you came to reason to say, I want to be. And I'm convinced that this is the line I'll take. And that's why you have to be careful. Even friendship is not the same. See, there are moral expectations we have of institutions. That's why Abraham, when he was to buy the land for his wife's burial, the cave of Machpelah, will say, even though I have lived amongst you for a long time, can we do a deed? I know that there is a sentiment that you know my wife very well. So you are actually you are even probably mourning as much as I am doing as for my wife. Now I intend to bury her. Can you kindly give me a land? And they say, why not take the land? But he was smart enough to know that the friendship today or the morality today might not be the same thing. So because of that, he asked them, can we have an agreement? The Bible says the land was deeded to Abraham till today, almost 6,000 years later. That land is still there. If you go to the Palestine area, the occupied territory of Israel, you will see the cave of Machpelah, globally acknowledged by the parties, the Palestinians, the Muslims, the Jews, the Christians, that was the place of the Jews. Why? Because somebody separated moral from the law. So always know that there's a difference between moral and the law. And that's where you find many people who have lost things, who have lost a lot of things. They have lost their liberty, they have lost their resources, they have lost so many things because for some reason, there's a lot of moral. I mean, I like to give an example. Once when my wife took up a shop somewhere, and we rented a shop. The man asked, typically in Nigeria, they will ask for about Lagos particularly, sometimes they ask for 3 years rent in advance or 2 years rent in advance. This man had first asked for 2 years rent in advance for the shop. So we gave him the money. And, we also, got into some rapport. We had a bit of rapport that generated out of our transaction. So along the line, he called me and asked me that if I could come back and pay him for the 3rd year because he needed some money for some medical expenses. And I said, why not? But the thing was then, I didn't have enough cash because I needed to do some commitment somewhere. So I said, okay, for you to show that I'm committed to come and do that, because it actually slashed the money a bit so that to make it attractive. I said, why not? So I took a bit of the money to him, and then the balance was a big bulky. So when I'd done all I needed to do after by a month or two, I took the bulk of the money to him, not by cash, not by check, but by way of cash. So that day when I was to go there, I drove my car to his house. I parked my car, got the money out. I told him I was coming. And then, for some reason, instinctively, I held the paper and I had a biro with me and went upstairs. Now, it was not his own office, it was his house. He didn't have an office. He only lives in his house and work everything from his house. And we sat at the balcony. We did all the transactions together. Counted the money. He counted all the money that I needed to give him. I gave him the money. After giving him the money, this man asked me to return later to come and get a receipt from him. And I said, oh, why not, sir? I know, sir. Not to worry. I will certainly come back, sir. So, but in the meantime, sir, if you don't mind, can you just acknowledge that you collected money from me here on this piece of paper so that at least I have something to hold until when I come back for the receipts. And the man looked at the paper and looked at the pen. I said, oh, okay then. Then don't worry, let me just go and bring the receipts. Let me go and give you the receipt then. And when he left, I just smiled to myself. Here you were in your house, and you could have simply have gone to give, but you know, because in African culture, we respect elders, landlord, those in position of authority. Somebody tells you, come and work for me. Yes, he has given promises, and there's nothing written down, nothing to show that these are the parameters of the engagement. Nothing. Oh, you are a pastor. You have the anointing. Go and pastor the Chicago branch. Go and pastor Jago branch. Go and pastor Ibadan branch. Nothing written down. Nothing put down. The sentiment. But that's why you have to understand that law is different from morals. Because at the end of the day, the law will not judge so much as by the moral. The law will judge, but more by the law. More by the law. Let me give you another example. Some time ago, my wife and I were in England, and we were at Charing Cross, and we're talking, waiting for our train, and you know, my so as we're talking, as we're gisting, from the corner of my eyes, I caught a glimpse of two men, actually, not even clean shaved, bearded, what have you. And you know, they were just hugging each other, you know, necking, like as if they're man and a woman. You know, as if somebody is about to travel, you know, those sin. And you know, when I saw that, I did all I could to engage my wife, to distract my wife from seeing what I had seen. And you know, eventually my wife saw them. And you know, typical of Nigerian woman, I said, hey! So I had to say, calm down. I've seen them. I know what you have seen. Please calm down. In this country, it is legal. It is lawful. It is not, it might be moral to you and I. So don't let them come and arrest us for you know, assaulting people. So just calm down, let them go. What you didn't want to pay, you know. So I told her, that's it. So you have to understand the difference. So, that it's done in America, is why it's not done in Nigeria. That might be your undoing. There might be moral acceptance of that, which has been backed by law. If that is not the same thing where you are, if that's not the same thing where you are, you're going to enter trouble. You are going to enter trouble because there's a law there. Similarly, you are going to move ogbono, okra, egusi from Nigeria. They allow you to pass through because it's a delicacy in Nigeria. But probably you are going to a country that said that egusi is considered to have a lot of estrogen or whatever it is, some things. And you're not saying, no, but Nigeria, where I'm coming from, is no, that's where you should know that, which brings us to the sixth point, the sixth feature of law. Law is different from place to place. It's different in Nigeria from state to state. What is obtainable in your state might not be obtainable in Lagos state. In Europe, what is obtainable in Germany might not be the same as in United Kingdom or France. So you have to understand, in America, what you have in Chicago might not be something you have in Iowa or Maryland or New York. So that's why you have even some lawyers. I mean, in America, probably a lawyer can probably practice the most in 3 states. Because even the laws of your own state, you're not even knowing it enough. So you have to understand this aspect of relationship with law. Now, I gave all this background so that those of us who are, wherever you are, no matter what you're doing. One of the things you must know is to know how to relate with the law. I've given you the background of what law is. So I'm going to the specific points now. You must know what the law is as regards what you're doing or where you are. You must know. And you must know, because I don't know whether some of us have read about some hikers who were hiking, and they were hiking, really. They just strayed by some meters into a foreign land. I think where it was India or so, or Iran, and were Americans. And of course, they were said to be spies. It took a long time or so. Now, for them, it's almost like a path of road, because it's a path. So really, there's no indication to say that you have crossed into America, or you have left that other country to this time. But you see, it's for you to know when you have entered into another country. Nobody will come and tell you that you have entered. So whenever you are, the laws of the engaging law at your location, find interest in knowing them. Find interest in knowing them. Otherwise, you will be at the mercy of lawyers. You'll be at the mercy of the system. Find interest in knowing them. Find interest in knowing how it relates to you. If you are a pastor, find interest in knowing the law that pertains to the operations, to what you are doing as a pastor. If you're a business person, don't leave these things and just, let me put it this way. From your birth to the time of departure to your maker, everything more or less is regulated by law. Everything, more or less. And that is why you should know how to use the law to favor you, how to use the law to settle things. We're handling some issues of estates of somebody, and you need to see how the man tidied up his estates, tied it up. And this man was an apostle in the marketplace, big time apostle. I didn't do his will for him. I'm only doing the things that I need to do to execute the will. But with benefit of hindsight, you could see that this man tied it up very well. He understood the long-term effects of all the things he was doing and how he could tie it up. He understood the fact of the culture. He understood how that culture can play upon what is planning. So you had put structures in place. At the same time, I know so many people who had passed on, who probably had bigger things that that man had, but did not put in the legal essence into all these acquisitions. And so when they are gone, the law must take its effect. You cannot avoid the law. It's either the children have to pay the money they cannot afford, or they are the mercy of the system because their father refused to take heed of law. How about businesses? Businesses that collapse because they thought that they could just do business. Probably it's only Nigeria that would do that thing like that. If you're going to set up even a small business in UK, you know what you go through. So much so you are asking yourself, is it not better I go looking for a job than to be doing businesses myself? Because the moment your business comes into existence, even the government is interested in the legacy of that business. So they are asking to put structure in place, structure that might stretch you, that might make you to pay much, but so that there can be an enduring entity. So even an entity that government can say that we're going to give, we're going to help when there's need to help this entity because we are in this entity, we believe in it. That's why probably in those such cultures, you find that the businesses thrive longer, even after the owner had gone. But here, somebody thinks, say Nigeria, someone thinks that it's been smart by half, dodging the rudiments of law, and eventually it comes home to roost. Pastors who think that the ministry is owned by them, who refuse to see what the law says about ministry. You cannot own a ministry. You can found a ministry. You can start a work. You can be the visionary of that work. But the moment you take the work out to say, government, acknowledge this work, what the government says is pick trustees, not owners. Pick people who would be accountable for this work, because you have said this work is meant to help people religiously or to help them spiritually. So you don't intend to make profit out of it. So it's not a business concern, so it cannot be owned. So you have told us that even though you initiated it, you have made people to rally around it, to see the vision as worthy of pursuit. And because of that, they have rallied around. They have become the congregation of that work. So in totality, that work is owned by that community of persons. Now, if the community of persons says they want to go and have something to do with government, government would tell them that we cannot register your community because by law, you are people who have the fundamental freedom of the right to gather, to associate, to be together with people, to express your opinion, to tell people about your conviction, spiritual. Nobody, so long it's not against the law. So we cannot register your body, because that would be like more or less contrary to the fundamental human right that you have, the freedom of association, freedom of religion. But see, since you said, just speak, since you said you want to have this as a body of people, now just pick 2 or 3 or 4 who will now become the registered trustees of that work. Pick 2 or 3 or 4. They are the one that will be recognizing as not the owners of the work, but the ones that will be answerable for the work that is going on there, not the owners, not the owners. And by law, those trustees cannot be seen to be taken or eaten or being maintained from what they are meant to be keeping, because they are trustees of the work. So that's why you have what is called the incorporated trustees of the work. The same thing in UK, it is called charitable organization. So you have the trustees of this charitable work. But this charitable work is now meant for religion, or it's meant for social issues, social welfare, or it's meant for recreation. So you have the trustees, or you have trustees for preservation of some heritages, like the one that Prince Charles is part of it or whatever. But once a person is a trustee of that work, you cannot be seen to be using the money or the fund of that work to be servicing yourself. It's called the breach of trust. Know the law. Otherwise, you are going to find yourself running foul of that law. Take your time to know, no matter how daunting that knowledge is to you, the better you align yourself with it, as daunting as it is, align yourself with it. That way, when they come to look for you, they will find nothing, because you have actually envisaged and you have applied yourself to it. Many, particularly in this side of the world, do not like the law. You always, for instance, let me put it this way. In this part, particularly for pastors who are watching, in this part of the world, You have it like, oh, they're persecuting us, blah, blah, blah. But you know, Nigeria is a secular state. That means that's no state religion. So there's no law that is particularly directed at Christians or Muslims. For instance, the Corporate and Allied Matters Act, which is a law that is regulating the registrations of endeavors, whether as a limited liability or as a business name or as a charitable concern, is Corporate and Allied Matters Act. That law has no religion. It's just a law. Part A talks about the limited liability company. Part B of that law in Nigeria talks about incorporation of business names, both of which are meant to have profit orientation. Part C talks about the charitable or probably the non-religious organization, not governmental organizations. Let's call it charitable organization, altruistic organization, companies that are meant to help people. That's part C, talks about incorporated trustees. Now, when you look at those parts, those three parts of that law, you find that the relevant law is put in place to ensure that you do not breach it. You don't. Because once you breach that law, you are going to have problems in your hand. Straight off. So, policy, I need to say this before I move on. Some of us, you think that this problem is far-fetched. But especially those of us in Nigeria, we have seen that suddenly it's as if things just take a turn suddenly. There's usually a season of what looks like nobody cares. But one day, just see the sentiment, or just see people, or just see the law, just bam, walking in that direction and catching those who are unawares. I mean, those who are not ready, unawares. Catching them. Close to my estate, there's a market that has been there for all the while I've been around this end of town. But just yesterday and the day before yesterday, the trucks, I mean the tractors, call them caterpillars in Nigeria, came around and flattened the market. It is a market. It looks like it's a given. I've seen that market ever since I moved to the center of town. But it's gone now. It's flattened. That's love. So it might have taken a long drive, but always be careful that the day is going to come to roost. You're on a better scale or better height or better platform. Otherwise, you might be swept by the tsunami. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes.
Thanks,
yes.
sir. All right, the next point I want to make is that now, so now that I've painted, I took time to paint that background for the issue of law, so I can understand it very well. Then let me now go to specifics. Still the law being the overarching issue. Learn how to manage your strategies. Still talking about the law as an issue, as an overarching issue. Don't make foolish mistakes with your strategies. Some of us will want to do things, and because you want the glory of the large outcome, you make collaborations that you are not documenting at all. You make collaborations, commitments And that's why you see in many times Christians hardly do mega businesses, because there are too much of expectations that are undocumented. And you just find that at the end of the day, emotions, egos are hurt. Make sure that when you are in work, when you're working out your dream, when you're working out your business, your ministry, your strategy, as much as possible, should ensure that you look out for wins that you can, how do I put it, concrete evidence of what decisions were made. Don't rush to start developing a property when you have not totally been convinced about the root of title of that property. No matter how many of your friends are doing it, are in that land, no matter how many, because you see, when how do I put it? When the tide turns, which I've seen in few instances, when the tide turns, every house will be destroyed, regardless of how many of you are. And usually the loss is personal. It's not collective loss, because you know where you got your money from. Your friend knows where they got their money from. And that's why, as much as possible. And one of the examples I like to give when I'm teaching, it's about somewhere in Lagos, Nigeria. A church that had a huge tract of land. They bought it, and some people, after a while, because the head of government pronounced that that area was going to have major road passing through it. So these people just felt that since the church was a church, and they just went back and started reselling the land to people. Started reselling the land to other people who bought the land from the people who had sold before, and started building their own houses there. The church typically could not fight, could not resist them physically. So the church went to court. And the church was in court for 40 years. The church was in court for 40 years. Are we there? 40 years. Now, after 40 years, from lower court, court of appeal, so many interlocutory applications, in between interim applications, and they went to Supreme Court, and eventually Supreme Court decided that the land actually belonged to that of the church after 40 years. And of course, before then, the church was struggling to build what they consider as an headquarter camp church. They were struggling to build it. When they were done with that judgment, all they did was to go to all people who have put their houses on their land and told them, it's either you carry your houses or you pay us new amount of money to buy this house, to buy this land. Because it's quick, Solo said it. Meaning that whatever is on the land, and it belongs to the land. It's like what from the soil to the top is land to the sky. So it's like, take your house or pay us the rate that we want to get by said land for. Of course, the church made a lot of money because people could not carry their houses away. Now, where I normally like to put the instruction or this lesson, the moral lesson in that story is that if you were 30 years when you bought land with your friends, of course, and 40 years later, the land you bought, which you have done so many naming ceremonies in, which you have raised your children in, which those children have even gone out. 40 years on, you are told now that it's either you carry your house or pay. God help you that you have the money. And God help you that you have many means to relocate in case anything happens. That's why nobody should look at the environment to make a judgment. You should look at what the law says. Your strategy should be very legalistic. Yes, it could have human touch. Yes, it could have, situational relevance. But in all that you're doing, always make sure that your strategy has input that you can say is well thought out legally. How about, for instance, volunteers? The volunteers that are working in your organization. What are you doing with them? How about your security man? What's your strategy to ensure that that security man, as you consider him as probably low end of your firm, of your organization, you don't know that what he can collect a letter that can put you into trouble. He can do things that can make your organization to go under. He can say things that are not true, that can destroy everything you have used 40 years to build. What's your strategy? What's your strategy? Even for your organizations, churches, how are you accommodating the children in your children's church? How are you accommodating the widows in your church or the homeless in your church? What are your strategies that you have put in place to ensure that in case something goes wrong, you are able to say that the structure is in place to help us walk through this? That person you want to say sleep over because he stayed in your service for one evening, you are happy to have a new convert, and he comes to you and tells that he's coming from Sokoto or he's coming from wherever he was coming from, and he has no place to stay, and to show how good-hearted you are, he says, sleep here, brother. Who is he? Do you have? Yes, you might say, okay, one of the things I want to be doing is to have a safe haven for those who are Johnny wearied, wayfarers. No problem at all. If that's a ministry you want to have, no problem. There's nothing wrong. But when they are coming, is there a structure? Is there a policy that says we'll take their details, we'll cross-check their details, we'll go and know who they are one way or the other? We'll probably tell the police that we have people like this here, we'll take their picture, so that independently they take their picture. So if they cannot go through those policies, then probably they want to leave that night. But if they want to stay that night, they must go through these policies. We have pictures taken, we have everything done, police informed, that and that, so that in case of any eventuality, at least those steps can adjudge you to have been reasonable in ensuring that you are not a victim. The next thing I want to say, watch your operatives. Whosoever you are, probably you are into business, or probably you have people that are working with you, your mechanics in Nigeria, your artisans. Watch who they are or watch what they are doing, lest they can use what you do not intend to attract trouble to you. You leave your cards, your call cards in your car, and you give a mechanic your car to go and repair. He holds the call card, or somebody in the car who is not even a mechanic. When he opened the car, took the car of yours out. And before you know it, it's dropped at the crime scene. How do you explain? Because police will have a duty to at least call you to say, we saw your card at this crime scene. How do you know? What do you know about it? Now, these are the things that people have gone through. Your operatives, your servants, or probably your staff at home, your staff in the office. What are they doing? What are they saying? And the other one is watch your convictions. Watch your convictions. Many of us are so convinced about the work. We are so convinced about the work that God has given to us, about our vision, about our mission, that you are, an example I like to give, about some pastors somewhere in Warri in South Nigeria. Here, this pastor had passion to help people who are indigent in their fellowship. So they started what was meant to be help work, asking people to save so that they can have food instead of using the money to drink and what have you. Ask them to save and encouraging them to save. And there's a way of showing their own credibility. They put a lot of structures in place that nothing was missing. In the course of time, because of what we're doing. And in fact, sometimes we encourage people, they give them even some interest, good interest, because they had fund. So they're just giving people, and people believed them. In the course of time, those who were part of it invited their own friends to come and see what they're doing, how they're running by, how they're running, a good credit scheme. And the work grew very well. After a while, there are some issues, and people who felt that they were being sidelined reported to the appropriate authority about what they think was going on there. So these people were arrested. They were visited, and then they were asked questions. And of course, to show that what work they were doing was actually a work after their own heart, was meant to be a help to people. So they brought out all the papers that they were using when you bring your money, how this one does, what they do. What they didn't realize that all that they were showing was good, perfect evidence that they have entered into banking operations. They have entered into banking operations without having a banking license. So it was a conviction that they were helping. But they forgot totally. So all that they said in order to justify their own integrity became the same things that were used to jail them. That was in 2013, and they were jailed for 10 years. It was in the papers. Pastors jailed for 10 years for illegal banking. Maybe by next year or thereabout, they'll leave. That's because they were convinced, but they were not legally minded about their convictions. Some of us, because of the work that we are doing, you tell somebody, sir, what you are doing is wrong. That's the government. This is what God says here. Government has their government. Some time ago, early in my practice, I have a friend who studies his son in Nigeria. Sometimes we laugh about this thing. I was working. That was where I started my law practice experience. I was interning. I was, as a junior lawyer. And somehow the cousin of my boss was to wed in the church I was attending. I remember the cousin was Ebuka, was to wed in the cousin. Now, prior to that time, my pastor had said, in just out of a conviction, that people don't need to go through the stress of all the wedding in the daytime, reception, the stress of money, having to spend money. So because there are so many singles in the church, and this issue of singles and unmarried has always been there for a while. There's so many singles in church. So but look, once your parents have agreed and you have gone to the registry or wherever, you can come and we're going to wed you, and we'll wed you, particularly you can wed you even on Wednesday service, Wednesday and Friday service. It was a major issue in the church. People were so happy because it was like, save people, you don't have to feed anybody. When they finish the wedding, they go back home and go and eat their food and what have you. So they did the first one, second one. I think Ebuka's one was about the third or fourth one, I remember. And then, but when Ebuka returned to his people, my boss and his younger brother, who are both lawyers, they said that marriage, was null and void. And I could relate with it. Because the law says that when you are having a marriage under the law, if the marriage procedure started from the registry and is to end in the church for celebration, that celebration aspect must be done in a place that is designated for worship and that is licensed for celebration of marriage. That church was an approved place of worship, was licensed for celebration of marriage. It must be done by a recognized minister of religion. So the man that was conducting it was competent. It must be done in the presence of at least 2 witnesses. There were many in that place. And it must be done, listen, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on any day of the week. That if it's in the church or if in the place of religion. We are doing our own after the praise and worship. Worship starts by 6:30. Then announcements. Then before the pastor comes along. So we are doing this around 7:15. So automatically by law, that marriage is null and void. That means that that couple has no marriage. They will only be living together as man and wife, a man and woman. And there's no marriage. And wait for it. The pastor who is involved in such illegality is entitled to 5 years of evangelism in jail. That's what the law says. So I went at the third, before the third one, or third or fourth one, before, after that fourth one, I was not, because I also know what was going on. So I had access to the GO's office. I went to the GO's office to go and say, please, I think we have to stop this. It's going to hurt you, sir. It's going to hurt the worker. Of course, when I entered, I didn't know the GO had left for home. So I had to see the assistant GO. And they said I should come in. Lord, come, I came in. So when I entered, I saw the PA to the GO with the deputy GO. And I said, I'm here to come and let you know that we should stop these weddings. It's going to hurt the GO, it's going to hurt this body. Please let us stop it because this is law. And I remember the PA shouted me down that the government has their law. We have our own law here. Nobody can tell us what to do. And I said, it's okay then. I have I have said what I have to say, but that's just law. Now, when I was to enter, the door opens to the left. So when I was entering, someone was behind the door, and the door was never closed while I was talking, because it was just meant to say quickly, I just want to tell you this, I want to leave. So the person behind the door actually overheard everything and ran to the GO to tell the GO. So the GO called me privately and asked me, and I said, this is what the law says. That was the end of it all. So when Ebuka got back, the people of Ebuka told him to go and re-wed, because that wedding was null and void. So, but they still did that, and then later they came for the Thanksgiving in the church. It was on the day of Thanksgiving I saw my friend, who's my son, and he said, bros, you are in this church, your church is carrying out illegality. I said, don't worry, we have cleared it. It will not be done again. He said, I foresee, because I was wondering what, and before then it was celebrated. Many practices, many things that you say I received from the place of prayer, I'm convinced about this. Nobody is challenging your conviction, but just learn to align it with the reality of law or face the consequences. The next one, and I want to round up quickly, is watch your locations. Watch your locations. Wherever you are, I've said it before, always know that the law has to be in place there. The house you want to buy, the house you want to move into, somebody has lived in that house and it says it's packing away. And because you are desperate for accommodation, you pass your money to the person that is packing away to go and pay to the new landlord, to the old landlord, so that you don't have to pay the covering fees or the new level fees. You can be risking a lot of things, because the law says that a man cannot give what he doesn't have. I've seen people who rented a house for 6 months. Whose tenancy remains 6 months, got money from people who paid to them for 2 years. When 6 months was due, landlord came to come and ask, who are you? He said, I'm a new tenant. To who? Watch your locations. Watch what you're doing. Your church, when they're buying their land, whether in America or whether in Nigeria, make proper searches. Be sure. This isn't the time to talk about land issue, because when it comes to land, anything related to property, there are two basic things you must know. Number one, you must know the estate in the land. I can't teach you that today. I must also know the tenure of that estate. Estate means that who has the rights to control that land, legally speaking. And tenure means that how long, what's the duration of that control? How long would that control be for? So I can have an estate in my apartment. If I have a 3-bedroom apartment from a landlord, that 2 years I'm staying there, I necessarily have an estate in that apartment, though not in the compound. The overriding estate belongs to the landlord. But for that, my apartment, I have an estate. And the next question, someone will ask me, what kind of estate you have? Is it freehold estate or is it leasehold estate? Those are the two types of estate: freehold or leasehold. Freehold means that it's for an indeterminable time. Leasehold means that there's a time-bound essence. So when Britain leased Hong Kong from China about 17-something years, 70-something, in the year 70-something, and they leased Hong Kong for 250 years. 1st of September 1997 or so, that lease was completed, was over. And then they had to return that land, Hong Kong, to China. So for that 250 years, Britain had what we can consider an estate in Hong Kong. Now, that means that whosoever wants to get whatever from that place, during that 250 years, you don't go to China. Even though China has an overarching estate, but for that period, the estate has been ceded to UK. So you go and get whatever you want to get from UK government and do whatever you want to do. Now, what then comes is that you need to be asking how long, what is the tenure of that estate? Because say you are interested in Hong Kong and you got to Hong Kong in 1995. And you got there in 1995 and you love what you saw there and you want to buy a land or you want to get a land, a lease of a land in Hong Kong. If anybody is giving you 10 years estate, 10 years tenured estate, then that means that they're cheating you, because what whoever is giving you has just 3 more years, because that was 1995, or 2 more years. In 1997, they're going to give it back. Many people buy things they call, I bought a property. What you have bought is just, you bought a leasehold. You bought for some years. Not what you bought is just to use that place like a tenant for a number of years. That's another thing. Finally, because of time, I will say watch your utterances too. The law about utterances is very clear. If you defame somebody, he can sue you. And if you say what you are not supposed to say against the government, that can become a basis of taking you up. Seditious statements is something that you should be watchful about. And also be very careful that you don't perjure. You don't perjure. You don't go on oath and be making that I, so and so, Tomi Vincent, of so and so, my age is 24 because of fire accidents. My birth certificate was lost, and so I now, this document is not necessary. It might look like a paper. In Nigeria, it's so easy to get an affidavit, but you see, that paper can hurt you badly in future. Because the reality is that once you lie on oath, there's a punishment for it. It's a criminal offense. It's a criminal offense. That's why I say that lying on oath. Remember when Clinton had a problem in America, they were not going to try him because of the immorality he had engaged with Monica Lewinsky. What was the major focus of Ken Starr and the rest of the Republicans then was about the fact that he had perjured, and perjuring is a criminal offense. And once you are convicted for that criminal crime of perjuring, you are going to become a criminal. And once you're a criminal, you are disqualified from holding that office. So you need to get it right. Everybody, watch what you write, watch what you say, watch your utterances and your writing. A couple once lost their admission to America by their visa lottery that they won. All they did at the last point of questioning in American embassy in Lagos is that they called them separately. They called the wife first in, and they called the husband later in. And they asked them the same questions, which they were not prepared for, but the same question. And the same question. I mean, by this time, this couple have sold everything because it was like the point of interview to go. Do that interview, collect your papers, and the next week you go. Of course, what they said was undoing because it had mattered that it was materially different from each other. Watch, because when you are not consistent with your statement in court, when a lawyer is asking questions to get facts from you, he can ask you the same question up to 6 times in different ways at different times. Truth needs no memory. When you are being truthful, you don't need to rehearse it. That's why you have to be consistent. You have to understand that implications of what you're doing can enjoy you. So let me, because of time, I know I've spoken for about almost an hour now.
Yes, sir.
Let me give opportunity for questions and feedbacks so that I can. I hope you have. We have gained something from little time we have shared together. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome session. Very Barrister Tomi Vincent. I've learned a lot. You know, we were told that he that walks with the wise will be wise. The companion of fool will definitely be destroyed. I'm so happy for what I've heard today, and I'm so blessed that even myself that putting this together, my notes is full by my side because I don't joke with this kind of time. Thank you so much for these beautiful lessons and for this beautiful message. In fact, it's as if you shouldn't finish because on my paper, I'm having law and land, law and music, law and family, law and business, law and utterance, law and driving. I'm having a lot. So, which means this session alone cannot actually solve a lot of things. And you actually brought something dimension to us this one someday. The law in Lagos State, the reversal law in Lagos State. I have to be truthful with you. I'm hearing that for the first time. So, just like what you said, ignorance of law is never an excuse. Thank you so much for this awesome presentation. On Facebook, somebody sent me a question now.
Yeah.
He asked me to ask you, how do you deal with the issue of post-dated checks that is post-dated check or giving an offering as post-dated check, and the check eventually became a dud check?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's very important for those who are listening to me to understand the dimension of law, even when there's convenience or otherwise. How do I mean? You go to a church. You are not under compulsion to give an offering. You are not. So you give an offering willingly with a check. Now, in terms of what I consider emotion, or in terms of moral, you're supposed to make sure that that account is funded. But if you choose that's not funded, now it becomes something that you might be putting yourself in on a straight line. How do I explain to you? Because the law about giving of check says that it's an offense to write out an instrument that you don't have intention of, funding. So if the church, for instance, you give it to, put it inside, and because they put it inside and that will return, it means that they're going to lose income because of that your check you wrote. So the church has a legal right to take you up for causing them loss because of what looks like your own deceitful nature. And that's why if you don't want to give, don't drop a dot check in the offering box. Many churches, out of respect for for voluntary nature of what the service and church is about, they just put the check there. They consider it a loss, but nothing stops that church from saying that, see, this person has offended the law, has gone against the law. Please help us take him up, because what he has done, which is like a deceit, has caused us some loss. So please don't be very, in fact, I will say this. If everybody is passing the wrong way and you know that's the wrong way, if you have to go that same way, be very circumspect. Be very, very circumspect. Why would I say so? You see, there is no law that says that everybody caught will be punished. There's no law. I did legal drafting, and legal drafting will not allow you to say that everybody. Legal drafting means how you draft laws. To say everybody caught, because number one is technically deficient. You can't catch everybody. And you are also putting yourself in a place whereby if about 5 people commit a crime, if you don't catch all of them, technically the 4 people that you caught will be able to escape because the law says everybody caught. So what they normally put there is anybody caught. Anyone caught. So if all of us are doing the wrong thing, the policeman or whoever is going to arrest do not need to catch everybody. All he needs to do is to get the one that are relevant to that situation for him. The catching may be on basis of bias. The catching may be on the basis of allegations that are unfounded, maybe because he has been bribed, maybe anything that you want to call it. But so long you can be said to have committed a crime, it's just a pure sentiment to say, no, but we are plenty that are giving this, we are doing this. So don't follow the fray, don't follow the crowd, don't follow the herd when it comes to issues of law. Learn to separate yourself and to think clearly through. Learn to look at where you are based on where you're going and the legality involved in that process. It saves you a lot. It saves your children a lot. Build a house where it's proper. Forget about the glory of having a momentous housewarming ceremony today and people making noise talking about that, how fine your house is. I mean, it can be, some of us remember in Lagos when at some point in time, the house of Fayoshe or so, Governor Fayoshe was destroying Lagos. It looked as if it was vendetta because of political differences. But it was said that that land, that house was in the right of way. It had influence, and it's also in my notes here. Many of us who count on influence, I have DPO, I have CSO. It can hurt you.
Wow.
Don't allow it. So when you even have those influences, do the proper thing, because if the DSO moves or the DCO moves, you will not face the consequence for you. You will face the consequence yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Awesome. You made a statement that time, sir. our time is fast spent. You made a statement. You said, do what is right. Then you now said, so I'm learning from you. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you very well.
Hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Thank you. So you're telling us that the church has capacity to actually send someone on evangelism for causing them to lose resources. Is that what?
Yeah, they can. Objectively, if they said that that person's check was going to be thrown open, because it's a crime to issue a dot check, regardless of who you gave it to, whether church, whether somebody else. That's why you don't write check at all if you're not prepared to back it up with finance. A check by itself is the commitment that you are willing to do what you said you would do without pay order. So if you are not available, don't write it. Don't be pushed. Don't be lured. If your customer tells that, okay, don't worry, give us a positive check, they are trying to send you to jail, because we are still talking about customer relationship. But once they say give us a positive check and you write it and there's no fund on that day, sometimes they just, on that same day, they will put the check in, so that once he has that stamp that it was returned, it has become criminalized.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so happy for this. I will only be able to take one more question. And this question is coming from Wede. Wede is talking about the issue of parents. He has a long list here, so I want to summarize it. The issue of in-laws and the wife. The wife lost the husband, and the in-laws are trying to take over the properties. Meanwhile, there are no will from the husband. So the guy is asking, how can you protect the wife from the in-laws interference?
Yeah, the best place is probably you want to go to Violence Against Women or Protection of Persons Council, whichever state you are. There are some widows' rights, some NGOs who are, we are standing for widows' rights and things like that. Because I was teaching on TV some time ago about widows' rights and men seeing things from the eye of, when the inevitable happens suddenly. I find that don't ignore the fact that right now your siblings, your brothers, they see your wife as probably the buffer between you and what they have to get from you. So the moment you are gone, they tend to neglect or to become so mean to your loved ones. And that's why you have to put your house in order. Any widow who is going through that, the best you can do right now is to seek redress through bodies that are related to that. In Lagos State, you have Violence Against Women, Protection of Widows. In other states, probably they have also NGOs that are set up for that purposes. But what I normally find that, invariably it comes too late, because by the time the process and whatever you have to do, you undergo it, you find that the deed will have been done. The property has been taken away, the children have been thrown out, and what have you. That's why, please, I beg you by all mercy, every man listen to me, or every woman listen to me. At some day in future, probably I would like to even host something on talking about it, putting your house in order. A young man, not a young man now, my age mate, did his will about 10 years ago. He called me over the weekend on Thursday that he wants to do a new will. And there's always a joy in his heart that he knows that if anything happens, he has done the right thing. 2 or 3 days ago, a couple called me and said that they want to buy their own crypt, their own vault, because they know that if they die and the politics of where to bury them comes in, their children will be emasculated by the so-called customary domineering relatives. So in the course of saying the body should be taken to this place, while the body, they will put a lot of pressure and the children will lose out, the family lose out. So they say, look, they want to get their own vote, and they want to know that, so that they want to put in the will that when they die, nobody should come and administer taking them to anywhere but where they are bought. It's part of thinking. Part of thinking. Because most times when they are deciding where to bury and whatever, you find their tempers rise. What is not supposed to become ego, basis of ego, becomes basis of ego, and you just be. I mean, the body is still in the mortuary when they are doing all these things. They never came when the children were there. They never came. Now the man is dead. So there are all the things you have to note.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. In the course of your presentation the other time, you are talking about how to use law to favor you in your business, in your family, in your everything. So I want to put this to you for the sake of our people and for the sake of people, the younger ones who are ignorant of the law. How can you make this a message for this present generation? Because your words at DLA is you dislike it when you see genuine minds going for evangelism in a place where they are not meant to be.
Thank you very much. And that evangelism, I like the way you use it. Evangelism is just an euphemism for prison, for Christians. At least we believe that when one gets there, just like Paul, we are able to convince some of the people. And then when you are singing, the jail will break. And then the jailman will come and ask for forgiveness and what have you. But see, jokes aside, everyone, and my brother, there are a lot of young people who are in jail today because of blatant ignorance. Blatant ignorance. Their own is not even arrogance. They just didn't know any better. So if you are a young person on this platform today, believe you me, once you cross 18, you have become a legal adult. A legal adult that will be asked to be responsible for your action. You pay for your action. I tell my son, you are 18. If you drive and you hit somebody, you are going to pay for that. So you have to be very careful when you are driving. You don't allow your friends to enter your car and your guys have been blasting music, and then you go and hurt somebody. So make the law work for you. Businesses, young person, you want to go into partnership with your friend, sit down and do a partnership agreement. You are young, happy-go-lucky lads today, but tomorrow, 5 years or 2 years down the line, you're going to get married. Your wives might not have the same orientation like you guys have, might not have the same background like you both have shared. So what will be the expectations then? Make the law work for you. Make the law work for you. When you are giving those people money to go and do investment for you, sit down, read the paper they give you to read. Because they know that probably you are not even glad. So if you cannot read it, get someone who will read it for you. Let them explain for you in your own language. Be sure what you're doing. Don't be browbeating. Don't let anybody browbeat you or that you're young. Hold your ground and know what you're doing. Because see, all this thing called years is relative. 40 years from today is just 365 times 40. Maybe 20,000 days from now, or maybe even less, about 10,000 or so. 365 times 40. That's 3,650 times 4. That's about 13,000 or so days from now. And you'll be 40 years. So why don't you look at it from that perspective? Not for the perspective of, oh, it's a long time. So make the Lord work for you. Make the Lord work for you. Because before you know it, you look back and say, wow, I wish I'd done it better. When you go to the correction centers, what we call prison yard in those days, you will see people that say that I regret it, I regret it, I regret it. But it's too late. So make the law, pastors, make the law work for you. It's advantageous when you are mindful of the law and you make it work for that work you're doing. The work has a life of its own, can breathe of its own. But when you personalize it, when you become the one-man kingdom mandate, you are going to hurt the work. You're going to lock yourself in because you have done so much mistakes that the day you open up, you are even opening yourself up for trouble. Please, make the law work for you. Know the law. Get to know it. That's why I want to say big thank you to my brother, the host, who has invited me. This is very laudable. Very laudable.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. You know, someone once said to me, Oliver Twist will always ask for more, sir. Oliver Twist, can you hear me? That Oliver Twist will always ask for more. Okay, I said somebody once said Oliver Twist will always ask for more. I have law and emotions. I have law and land. I have law and music. I have law and family. I have law and business. I have law and utterance. I have law and oaths. I have laws and girls. I have law and sex education. I have law and rape. And I believe this cannot be done in 2 hours. So we're going to request maybe for your time, maybe every two weeks or every three weeks.
Just give me a good notice. I'll see when I'm available. But as we speak now, I'm going to go into another meeting in the next 30 minutes. So just let me know. By God's grace, I would make myself available when the time avails itself for me.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. It's my joy to always be of help to let people know what they need to know.
Okay. Thank you so much. We've come to today's edition of Wildlife, My Jesus Christ Story.
Thank you very much.
We'll be speaking to our great mentor, Bar Tomi Vincent, who has been teaching us about the law, that ignorance of law is not an excuse. He said the Lord says it's anyone that God caught, not everybody. So, my brother, what's your excuse? Go get the knowledge, go get the wisdom, go get the capacity. Before you go, sir, your final word, and how can people always reach you?
Oh, thank you very much, very much. What I say again, just let the law work for you. It's gladdens you. I mean, when the law works for you, it liberates you. It makes you able to run better, faster, because you are not festooned by the whims and caprices of just your own motives and things like that. So that law work for you. To reach me, Tomi Vincent at yahoo.com. That's my email, Tomi Vincent, TOMI, then VINCNT, Tomi Vincent at yahoo.com, or Oluwatomi Vincent at yahoo.com. The same Oluwatomi Vincent at yahoo.com, Oluwatomi Vincent 1 at yahoo.com. Now, for my WhatsApp is 08033 08033 026306 08033 330-26306. That's WhatsApp. I have an outreach called Legal Side Initiatives. And particularly for those ministers, there is what's called the legal side of excellence in ministry. Legal side of excellence in ministry, where we judge up and relate on the basis of that. If anyone is interested in that, you can reach me through that WhatsApp, and I'll tell you the link when the time comes. My Twitter is Tomi Baba 1. My Twitter and Tomi Baba 1. Tomi Baba 1. You know, that's my Twitter handle. Or at Tomi Vincent. That's also my Twitter handle. So whatever you want to reach me, you can reach me on those areas. Thank you very much for being a part of this. God bless you. And letting me be a part of this. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we've come to the end of today's
And by the way, I just want, for those of us who are interested, I have a number of books here that might be very interesting for them. So you can reach me on that number, 10 legal strategies for protecting your ministry and other endeavors. Yes. For those of us who want to be interested, it will be very, very good, very helpful for you as a person. There's also 15 legal mistakes that can jeopardize the business of faith-based organizations. 15 legal mistakes that's very good as well. Very, very good for a nice read. There's also the 10 urgent legal questions. 10 legal urgent questions, which every faith-based organization and non-for-profit organization must ask themselves. Very urgent. Have you done this? Have you done that? Before it is too late. The one that is going for out of print, we're getting a new print out, is registration of religious organizations in Nigeria. It's out of print, but in a couple of weeks or so, we have a new print out. So those are the books that you want to get. You can reach me on that number, and I can ship to you where you want to get. For each one of them, just 1,000 naira, and it will be very helpful and much of a blessing to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy. I've read 3 of those. I have 3. I was trying to pick it, but I couldn't pick it. Just I have those 3, but I do not have one. I'm going to pick the latest copy of your material. I've not read that. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Very much. God bless you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to every one of you, TechnoSpark Moturayo, for joining us this wonderful event. Want to thank you. Over to you, Mrs. Fumilayo Babajide. If we are still there, can you still do something? Over to you for rounding up, my people in Chica, in Houston, Texas. If we are still there. If you are still there, hello, ma.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Maybe that was why.
Okay. Including your songs. Hello.
Including
my.
For the first 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you wanted to the last 20 minutes,
anyway, it is well. Thank you so much. Seriously, okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Yeah. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
Loud and clear.
But towards ending back we thank God.
So, yes. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So thank you so much, everybody. Moturayo, Buki Olurin, Technospark, thank you all for joining us. We've come to the end of avoiding foolishness in legal matter. We've come to the end of today's edition. I'm so happy that you are able to make it. We're going to share the next day for the next edition of this. But until then, thank you all for joining. God bless you.